unless something really
Yeah,
like
yeah,
needs.
unless I fall off my
Unless something happens. But
possible.
we just go. Normally it's
Right.
we aim for like 45 minutes to an hour and a half. So this one probably be closer to 45 with time and stuff, just so you don't get trapped here or anything.
Yeah,
but nice. Becky, welcome to the studio.
Thanks
How
for
are
having
you?
me. Yeah, I'm all right. A bit tired, I'm sorry. But
Well, you've had an exciting day by the sounds of it.
yeah, it's really exciting. We're working with like 20 new filmmakers on a BFI Film Academy short course. So we were literally, it was like final scripting meeting today for something we shoot in 2 weeks. So scary, but brilliant.
Nice, very nice. And now you're here.
Yeah.
Which hopefully is a bit calmer, but
Yeah, it's nice. Nice
yeah.
and quiet.
But yeah, so you do the Northampton Film Festival and then various other things. Do you want to tell our sort of audience about you and who you are? Because some people might not know.
Yeah. Where do I start from? So I grew up in Northamptonshire, and I very much by accident got into filmmaking. Like, I was totally not into film. Like, I wasn't even into film. I didn't even watch a lot of films. It's awful. But I just by accident kind of got into film at university while studying something totally different. And then I went to London because I just thought that's what you had to do. And I worked in film production in London for like a good 10 years, a bit more than that. And then was like, I want to start producing films. And I hate London. Like, it's really busy. It's really expensive. All the things that you don't want from film. And it's miserable. Like, no one wants you there. No one wants you to park your massive, filming lorry in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of town, and film and stuff. So I was like, I should come back to Northamptonshire. And so I kind of came back. And then I just kind of fell in love with the whole place, because actually just from a few things, but like from a filmmaking perspective, it's just great. There's so much stuff here. Like, I was a location manager in London. Like, if you want to do a unit move in London, that's 2 hours gone. Northampton, it's like 10 minutes. Great. You can get to another town in like 20 minutes. It's amazing. And so I thought, I'm going to start doing film stuff back here. And then kind of a few years back, when I was trying to get more young people to work in film, we were finding that like young people were a bit like, I don't really know what that entails. And I was like, okay, this is kind of mad. We just thought young people were like knocking the doors down to make film. And so the film festival was kind of born because I think people understand going to the cinema, watching a film. So I thought, we'll get them that way. We'll do this film festival, and then we'll get filmmakers talking about like what it is that goes into making a film, and then we'll get them involved in film production. And then I've just kind of rolled on with the film festival, because I just really love it. I love showing people's work. We're about showing local work, but also national work, and supporting filmmakers and encouraging people just to be inspired by Northamptonshire, because I think there is lots to be inspired by here. So that's kind of my deal.
Nice. Wicked. How long's the film festival running now? Because I've been aware of it for a few years, but I imagine it's been going longer.
Yeah, we did a pilot in 2019 when we didn't really know anything about running a film festival, and it went really well. And we were like, okay, great, so we'll do a proper one in 2020, and then everyone knows what happened. So we only kind of came back in 2021 with a virtual film festival, because people were still a bit kind of iffy about going to cinemas and COVID and whatever. So we kind of say the first official one was 2022. So 2022. So yeah, so we have fourth film festival in March 2025. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you want to dig into sort of the plan for 2025, or because people can submit?
Yeah, so we haven't actually really released the plan yet for 2025, but basically we had a really great time doing a kind of our opening like gala type screening at Delaprey Abbey this year. So we're extending that and doing a few days at Delaprey, which is really cool because it's a great venue. And everyone likes red carpet outside a stately home. Then we're going to Cineworld Northampton at Sixfields for the kind of rest of the screenings and the awards do. And yeah, we're showing short films, feature films, local films, national films. We have a new category that's kind of things that aren't kind of a narrative fiction piece or a documentary. So they can be kind of anything up to 20 minutes long. So that could be music videos, art films, interesting commercials, whatever. And yeah, it's just, it's trying to bring people together to watch great films, kind of listen to stories that make you think about your own life, the world out there, and yeah, get inspired to do something that might not be film, but hopefully we also inspire the filmmakers of tomorrow to get making.
Nice. Very fucking cool. And then you have a new sort of project as well, which I'm very curious about, because I'm sure a lot of people in our audience are, because we've seen it or heard about it, but not everyone's entirely sure what it is entirely.
Well, yeah, and it kind of came about in a roundabout way. But so I opened the Creative Place on Northampton Market Square when the new market opened. So we're in one of the permanent stalls. So I've got a 3 metre by 4 metre smallest arts centre in the world. That's what we're saying it is. And the reason that came about is because obviously I've been running the film festival. I've been talking to a lot of people about the needs of like the Northamptonshire creative community. And we had about 220 people kind of fill out a survey that we were doing, where I literally just asked, what do the creative industries need to flourish in Northamptonshire? Because I really hate the phrase, but like I talk to so many people, we're not really reaching our full potential as creative industries in Northamptonshire, and that's just really annoying because there's so many brilliant people doing brilliant things. Why are people looking to go elsewhere to do those creative things? And at the same time as I did this kind of consultation, we were making a film about Northampton Market Square for the Town Council. And so I didn't care so much about the Market Square at the time. I'm well into Northamptonshire and what, the character I think Northamptonshire and Northampton has. But the market didn't necessarily figure that much on that. But doing this film about the heritage of it, I was meeting with lots of local people that were talking about it as a kind of meeting space, as a space where people threw around big ideas as well, the Bradlaugh riots, and it's 900 years old, and there's all sorts of things that happened in the buildings around it, from suffragettes to all sorts of things. And it just made me kind of think, hang on a minute, the creative industries are saying to me, broadly, that, we need to be more visual, people need to see, the public need to see what Northamptonshire is doing, because it's worth seeing, so they need to see it. And also the creatives need to just have a place where they can come and bang into other creatives and share ideas, and somewhere that we can find out what other people are doing. And I don't know at all everything that's going on, but I'm kind of making it my mission to do that. Lots of people have kind of said, I need to find a so-and-so, and then I'll talk to Becky. And if I don't know anyone, I hope that I'm good at finding people and connecting people. So that was kind of why I was like, right, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to open this space, and I'm going to try and just, rather than, I think there's a lot of negativity. I just want to try and do something that makes things better. So I'm going to do it. So I've opened the smallest art centre in the world. And to be honest, we're kind of like experimenting with what that space should be. So we're kind of saying to people at the moment, tell us what you think we should put on it. If you've got an idea, come and tell us about it. So we've done some like drop-in events, but there's been workshops, and we've only been open like 4 weeks. And to be honest, it was a really late last-minute idea. So we're kind of making it up as we go along, but in a good way, because I think that's a good way to make things happen.
That's what most creatives do anyway, so it kind of fits.
Yeah, and see where the need is, and it's been really nice because you do these consultation things, and you hope that when you do something based on that people go, that was the right thing to do. Or not that, we said that, but we didn't mean it, because that was my biggest worry. Yeah. But it's been really positive. We've had lots of conversations with people we didn't know before, and met even more people that do brilliant world-class things in Northampton, which is kind of the point of it. So we're still carving out its niche, but it is there to be useful, not just to do things that I would like to do in it, although that would be lovely. So I just really want to hear from people how they can use it.
Interesting. Yeah, and it's like because I came to the launch with Matt, and I can't remember if I said it to you or Matt, but basically like the biggest thing, because it's the Market Square, it is like the centre of town. You have an advantage that a lot of other of the sort of creative places in Northampton don't, which is like you're publicly visible. Like that's one of our sort of challenges, is that we're like hidden away well out. Like you said, you'd like never been to this building before, and to be fair enough, but it gives such a thing, and that's like, because people can see it. If your plan is to have a space that is just, I'll show you where everyone else is, because you're the first. If you were a random person going, I want to get into creative stuff, they're going to find you first if they're just walking around,
Yeah, and I kind of say, I know it's kind of a bit like Piccadilly Circus. I mean, it's not, but in London, where obviously people say if you stand in Piccadilly Circus long enough, you'll meet someone you know. And I think the Market Square is kind of a small version of that, because even if you're not going to the market, even if you're not going to the shops, a lot of people come into the bus station, or they do walk through the Grosvenor Centre because they park there, or whatever. But people all walk through there, and we've had kind of my history has been being based a lot in shops in shopping centres, because it is amazing the people you get walking in. There's people who've won Oscars that walk in, and that's no exaggeration. And so that if you're there, then people will bump into you eventually. And so that was kind of the point of it. And it doesn't need to be big, because we're not, there's plenty of big venues. Like, we're not going to put on a show like in the Royal Gate, but we can show you where that is. Or we're not going to put on a museum exhibition size of the museum, but we'll go and talk to them. Go to the university. Go to NN Contemporary. Go to the Vulcan Works. Whatever. But I think a lot of people, having chatted to a lot of people over a lot of time in Northampton, I think a lot of people, particularly maybe young people, but I don't think it's exclusive, give up because they don't see it happening. So if they don't bump into anyone who does it, they just kind of go, oh, well, if I stay here, it won't happen. So they either leave or they stay here and go, well, I have to
annoyed,
get another job or whatever. And that really annoys me, basically. I just think people, that's my big thing. That's my motivating factor. I just think people should be able to do what they want to do in the place in which they are.
Yeah, and not have to despair. Because that was what, me and Alex, who I run the studio with, when we were starting, in uni, bear in mind we had people who had, same as us, me and Alex, both born here, came to uni here, and we had other people who came to uni here, and their plan for when they finished was to move as far away as possible. And it was just well, why did you get the degree here? Shouldn't you have left already, sort of thing? It just... Or even just in school, everyone just being like, yeah, I'm leaving because there's nothing here. Because in a weird way, I think part of the charm is that everything's sort of hidden, because there is a million hidden gems across the town. But also the backfire of that is not everyone's willing to actually search something out.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because there's a battle there, and I feel it too, that, there's definite kind of, I like the weird underground hiddenness of lots of things in Northampton. That is kind of its part of its character. And you want to keep that, but also I think there are some things we just need to bring up more. Yeah. Even if they remain a little, I always kind of say, it's kind of a bit of a reference from the Far Show, which everyone is just too young generally to, there's that guy who's like, oh, we're a little bit woo, a bit wah. And I was like, that's kind of what Northampton is. It's a little bit, a little bit wheeler dealer, and it should always be a little bit independent. Even like the West Northampton Council say that Northampton has a unique independent spirit. It's all about that independent spirit. And we have to keep that, and we have to, I go on about it. But we have this history of free thinkers doing things totally, their own way. And that is very much Northampton. We have to keep that, but maybe we just need to move some of it a bit more into the public eye, to make sure that people know it's happening, so that they stay and they get involved in that kind of stuff.
Because it also sometimes, there's also, once you get past the people who just leave as soon as they can without even looking, you then have the people who give it a try and then go oh, okay, so that one thing I saw is the best it has to offer, and there's no upward movement beyond that, and then they decide to leave. Because the reality is that's the issue with we spent a lot of time photographing musicians and stuff a few years ago, and we realized the issue for them, it was there was only so far they could get before they had to go somewhere else. And it's a lot lower than other places, and that was kind of the vibe across many different creative things. You saying you assumed all the young filmmakers would just be eager, and they're being I don't even know what a career in film means, because it's not here, and that's the same in a lot of creative fields, I feel. So it's that infrastructure and putting it in the public eye as well, because it's a difficult balance, because you don't want to make it too obvious, you know what I mean? Because then it loses that Northamptonness that it has about it. So it's there's a balance as well as between, I think, it's quite nice that you can walk around town and you bump into lots of people you know. I quite like that, but obviously the more we try and develop the creative industries or anything here, and you try and get more people to come in, I suppose you're going to lose that as it grows. But I still want it to grow. So it is what it is. Well, I don't think you'd lose that. That's the community side, but it's the... I think there's always something exciting in Northampton that when you do find something, it's you feel like you found it. As if you're somewhere else, you're just kind of oh, well, I stumbled across another shop that does this. It's cool. As Northampton, there's so many, every little niche, I don't know, if you like coffee and then you finally discover that there's yellow bourbon tucked away in an alleyway, and it turns out to be incredible. It's like
Yeah.
quite a nice surprise in a way, as if it was.
Yeah, it's such a difficult balance, isn't it? Because like, yeah, that keeping there's loads of hidden gems, surprises, all those words. So you're like, that is great.
But some people aren't willing to do the legwork.
Yeah, so many people.
That's the issue.
Like I talked to loads of
limits
people.
it massively.
Yeah, I talked to loads of people who are like, oh, I want to get into film, but there's just never been anything here. And they bumped into me by accident, and I was like, did you Google Northampton and film? Because you'd have found the film. So how you know, so it's a difficult one, because I also really appreciate that if you are just told there's nothing going on here, and everyone seems to be pushing that agenda, then why would you Google Northampton film?
Yeah, because you just believe it.
Yeah, but I also, I think I just would challenge people to kind of go and dig, because I think there's so much stuff here, and I keep just bumping into people who are like, oh yeah, the only whatever in whatever is in Northampton, or the only person doing this is in Wellingborough. I'm like, what? Like, honestly, I can't. My husband hates me because I'm like a tourist board for Northamptonshire. I can't remember. We were watching the other day. We were watching Gogglebox actually, and it's like Leslie Joseph. I was like Northampton, and then something else was referenced. I think on one of the shows, and I was like Northampton. Like we're everywhere. Like we are everywhere, and so therefore we are. So we are. Like there are adverts for us everywhere, but just no one knows, because again, if you say, "Oh, I come from Northampton," to lots of people, they don't know where it is.
And if they do, they give you a sort of like apologetic, oh, I'm sorry for you. That's a shame about that. But even though it is great, even if you do get looked like slightly like you're a crazy person for being like behind it, but there is definitely, like you say, a lot of creative people with a lot of potential. It's just it just feels like getting organised. And it does feel like it's getting better. Like, the Contemporary have their NN Nights initiative that seems to be coming back soon, which is quite exciting, and that seems to be doing a good service of like making spaces that are hidden in random places have a bit of like across the board, like public find out about them as well.
Yeah, it's that just connect. Like, I think we've got all the ingredients, but we need to connect so it can be a bit bigger than the sum of our parts. And you know, I think it's really funny. I talked to a lot of people who were running, because Northampton Film Fest was a non-profit, so I talked to lots of people running non-profits and stuff. You go, lots of like money doesn't come into Northamptonshire. But then you talk to people like the Lottery, and often the applications, they're totally undersubscribed from Northamptonshire. So it's a really interesting one where they're like, oh, there's no money coming in, but we're not applying for it. So I think it's also kind of going, what the creative place, I hope, is just like an encouragement to go, yeah, come on, we can do it. Maybe we'll do it together. And then we'll get a bigger pot of money, and it'll be really exciting. Let's just reach a little further and be a little bit more ambitious.
Yeah, because a lot of people work with that mindset of like, I'm doing it in Northampton, so I need to do it on a Northampton scale, and that immediately dampens everything all the way through a little bit. It feels like even down to things that shouldn't be swayed by that at all. Like,
yeah, it's really interesting because like I say, I lived in London for quite a long time, but London is its own thing. I've not lived anywhere else, so I kind of go, I talk about Northampton, I talk about, going, oh, Northampton people feel like this, and actually, I haven't lived anywhere else. So actually, maybe lots of places that are very similar in size or whatever to Northampton have a similar attitude. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I've never been to Wolverhampton, but they have a film festival, and I often think, okay, maybe Wolverhampton is a similar place to us. I don't know. And maybe if you go there, they have similar things, and they go, we need to go somewhere else to, So maybe it's not Northampton specific, but I've never lived anywhere else.
Yeah, that's same here as well. But it's probably a thing all up and down the UK, with, I guess we're kind of big town, but I guess people tend to think of it as a small town. But yeah, probably every town across the UK has the same thing, because as well, like you say, London is its own thing. It's not even like, because people don't go, I'm going to move to a city. It's just London is its own.
A whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think the UK kind of ends up set up in a way where it just seems like, well, London just has everything, and then everyone else is just kind of like, I don't know, weirdos who live out in the sticks and just kind of make do. But there's no reason that there shouldn't be stuff here. Like, there's enough people, there's enough need for it, people want it. Whenever anything creative comes up, like you said, you had a incredibly positive response to the creative place. Like, there's people there. It's just giving them the place to exercise their creativity.
Yeah, and just, you know, people want to meet not necessarily people just like yourself, but you do want to meet other people that have similar interests that you go, oh, I can collaborate with you. You know, again, I was talking to lots of the filmmakers. They're all 16 to 19 who are on this BFI Film Academy. And they were like, oh, I don't really have anyone else who wants to make films, so I have to just pull in my friends who don't want to be in the film to be in the film. And it's like, oh, you just need to meet your tribe, don't you? You want to meet and, you know, feel like, oh, it's a place for you. But yeah, I just think as well we need to just shout about Northampton a bit more, just be a bit more vocal. Like, my sister lives in Manchester and they just don't shut up about how great Manchester is. And we don't want to be like them, but but I think, you know, we need a little bit of that spirit, which I think we've got in us, because we're rebellious people, naturally.
Well, true.
I think we just need to,
and there's quite a lot of diehard fans doing cool stuff as well. So it just needs, it feels very close. Yeah, close it's been in a while, but
I think there's an attitude that's kind of change, and there's people that want to do exciting things and be a bit more collaborative. Because I think you're right about the whole. We've kind of, I don't know if it's because we've had this perception that there's a lack of resource, so we're all going, well, I need to keep mine so I won't work with anyone. And, you know, I've definitely been guilty of that, but trying to get out of that mindset.
Because I've definitely experienced that before, and in places you don't expect as well. Like, sometimes it seems like obvious by some people it's just like, why are you being so like, no, this is my, and it's like, well, that's also probably the thing that makes people leave, because it's like, well, so I have to get through someone who's really intense and gatekeepery for something that if I went to somewhere else, they'd just embrace me with open arms. So that it just is. We can blame people for wanting to leave, but also it's like, well, when you when you tell them to fuck off, and then there's an easier alternative somewhere else, it's path of least resistance, isn't it?
I suppose that's kind of a bit why I did. Like, I never filmed my creative industry, and I just liked making films and that. I never meant to set up like an arts centre, but it was that kind of put my money where my mouth is a bit. Like, so not saying fuck off to people, going, right, I've built this thing. It's really small, but I've built this thing. Come, let's do something, because I believe in the place, and I'm sure lots of people will believe in you. So let's do it. You know, that's kind of that's my attitude.
What it needed. What? So in these 4 weeks, then, what's happened in the creative place? Like,
what has happened?
Some of the highlights.
So a few things. Well, so it was International Day of Peace. The second day we were open, I think. So we had a guy called Roy Layton who does like peace work using theatre all around the world, and so we had him in doing some kind of workshops on like how we resolve conflict, how we how we kind of create peace. We have had I'm trying to think actually this last week we've had ceramics in there.
I did see on Instagram stories.
Chapelside Ceramics, who make little lift towers, which I just love. So proper Northampton. That's been kind of really cute as well. And we've got some stuff coming up with like local storytelling, which will be fun. We've got a 15-year-old kid who's coming in to do their first art exhibition, which I think is great, because I think that's kind of why the space, it's only, it's really small, so you don't have to have a huge body of work to fill it, which is that's really cool. And we had some kids actually pop in from another school who were like, oh yeah, doing our first public art exhibition, but not having to take on too much. And again, just showing those people at that still school age that great, your work is valid, you can do something, and you don't have to leave to do that. It's just really cool. So that's exciting. We've had some people talking about books and publishing, so people just drop in and ask their questions about getting something published or writing a kid's book or whatever. And that was really nice. It's been really random in a really good way. I've got some volunteering meetings in there with some of our volunteers to look at, because I've just kind of opened this space and started going, okay, where's the opportunity? Okay, yeah, great, you've approached me, let's put something on. And just see how it works, because it is in the market square, which isn't where most people thought they would find a kind of arts centre. Yeah. So, we just thought, see how the traffic is. And so, we've just been kind of saying yes to many things. Oh, we had Sophie Slade in for a week. Well, not a week, actually, it was only 2 days, who just does some really amazing portraits of Northampton. looking lovely, because it is a lovely looking place. So yeah, it's been really random in a really good way, and we're going to continue being a bit random. But like I say, we're getting these volunteers together this week in the space to kind of go, okay, we've done these things. This is what we're kind of finding. Where do we go forward from this? And I just really welcome anyone to get in touch to go, I feel like this is where your place is, so that we can feed into all these other places that already exist.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very good plan. That's
Well,
the
yeah,
power
it's
of
a
the
non-plan.
blank. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
blank
that's the
canvas,
beauty of
yeah.
it, you know what I mean? That's, which like the first pictures I think everyone saw of the Creative Fit were I think in the Chronicle and Echo, which was just like the empty room, and it's just like, well, yeah, whatever, which now is perfectly fitting, because it is just like, well, what can you do with it? Which is quite exciting to creative people, because it is just, like.
And the other thing actually we're looking at the moment is, so obviously it exists partly to serve creative people, but then also to kind of serve the public. And one of the things we've been doing actually as well over the last kind of few weeks is it's 350 years next year since the Great Fire of Northampton, when 80% of the town burnt down, and the Market Square was reborn again. And I'm kind of using this whole Market Square being reborn again as an excuse to go to people, okay, what if the town burnt down tomorrow and you were in charge, what's the first thing you'd reinstate, or like what's the thing you'd save, or what is how would we, if we rebuilt Northampton again tomorrow, how would we make it Northampton? Is that a vibe? Is that the people? Is it the what? And I'm just really interested in hearing people's thoughts on that, so that maybe we can come up with some kind of creative project that is engaging with the public to just talk about that, because I think people as well in Northampton maybe have felt a bit like they haven't been listened to about the town, about things that happen in it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But, I think we get that sense that people are like, oh, we give our opinions, but people do it anyway. And I'm not, I can't build any buildings. But I think it would be really nice to really get people's thoughts on, like, what is Northampton? Why Northampton? Like, what is the real essence of it?
Which is an interesting question, because, like, the last podcast I did, we had another guest on, and we were talking about how there's, even within just, like, the creative spaces, there's, like, 11, 12 different little pockets of creativity, and that was just off of like the top of our head from being like, so there's this kind of group, and they all have, like, when you ask them to describe Northampton, it's a completely different place to them than it is to the net, and that goes obviously beyond creative people to just whoever, or scientist, or whatever you're doing. You see a totally different side to the town, so and it's because of that independent spirit, I think everyone just brings themselves to it, so everywhere has a slightly different flavour, which is
obviously no bad thing. But I think maybe what we've lacked a little bit is, like, going about Manchester, like they have their thing. I feel like they have a flag behind which to march, kind of about the character of Manchester, or whatever. And I think maybe we don't have a thing that we're like, oh yeah, this is what it is to be Northampton or Northamptonshire or any other towns. It was really interesting. I'm doing some work in Corby at the minute, and I thought, in my mind, Corby had quite a strong identity. But actually talking to lots of young people, I'm not sure they feel it either. So I don't know, I worry that we need a little something that we can kind of go, yeah, right, I'll get behind that. I'm from Northampton, and people know what that means because I've told you what it means. It means that we're, whatever, independent spirits, whatever. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I can see that, because I think, because if you don't have that, people apply to it all the sort of, oh, there's nothing here, welcome to, and even people who like truly back it, you meet someone from a different place and they go, describe the town, you're like, well, we'll show you the best bits, but the rest of it is dire, like, which you don't want to say, but you also don't want to sound like a crazy person who just saying something different than everyone else. It's a kind of.
I feel like I probably am a crazy person. Well, I have this little it's the film festival's kind of motto. Well, motto is a horrible word, but anyway, that we are a county of rebels and revolutionaries, misfits and mavericks, creatives and change makers, and that's our ethos. And a lot of people do look at me like I'm crazy when I say that, but
it's true.
No, it's true.
There's plenty of people all doing all sorts of strange and interesting things that are just what they want to do, and I think that's like the place. I think what happens is the unfortunate part is they then if they tie themselves into the town, they immediately kind of I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's because you just, in their head, they're like, well, Northampton's kind of crap, so if I'm working on the Northampton level, then they maybe let the quality slip, or they just let themselves get away with a lot. Or if they were like trying to be like, I'm trying to work to, it's like Manchester, everyone's proud of Manchester, so they do it properly, basically, if that kind of makes sense. It's just a sense I get with some.
I feel like when I came back before, I was thinking about film festivals, and we do a lot of stuff that's like about Northampton and identity and stuff. But like when I came back just as a filmmaker, I did kind of worry that like people go, oh yes, there's proper filmmakers, then there's filmmakers in the regions, and then there's probably the filmmakers in Northampton, because who the hell are they? We don't know any of them. I think only we can change that. So only we can go, no, look, our work is good enough. Here it is. I'm going to throw it in your face. So but there is a kind of, oh yeah, you're good enough maybe to be in a small town. You're not good enough to be in London, and that is a load of old rubbish.
Bullshit. And as well, like then the issue goes the other way. Where, do you know what it is? I think people make their stuff too, like almost go the opposite direction, where they're like, we'll reject anything that isn't Northampton. Then it becomes too like localized. But then when you do that, it kind of also, like me and Alex have been sort of, we're working on something at the moment that you know about, but these lot don't. But trying to make that where it's like, okay, it's got to be cool here, but also if we went and did it in other places, it still has to like stand up. Otherwise, kind of, what's the point? A little bit, rather than try and make something just for people to the end of the street. It's like trying to make it have that as big as possible, but for the actually the guy on the last podcast summed it up nicely. He said like I actually can't remember what he said or how he worded it, but basically the idea was that it would be, for everyone, but what it gives back to is the sort of the local area.
It's really interesting, because I've kind of looked at the film festival. People have said, and I'm kind of going, okay, well, how do I get people in Northampton to go, this is a cool thing? And lots of people have said to me, just get people from outside Northampton to come to it. And then the Northampton people will go, oh, yeah, it's probably cool, and go. I was like, oh, that's not, I don't know. Like, I'm doing it because I love Northampton. I want Northampton first, and then we'll go out. But that's kind of an interesting one, that people go, maybe people from outside have to think it's cool for Northampton to think it's cool. I don't know if that's...
It's like we need... It's like someone who needs, like, on a personal level, needs, like, external validation, which it's, like, annoying because it happens.
Maybe we do, need a little bit of that, because we've been a bit trodden on for a while.
Because I think we get like excited about something, and then other people look at us like, oh, you're excited because like, oh, we had that 10 years ago, and now we have 20 of them. Like, that's but it's that sort of mentality. Is I think stuff can get really popular locally, and then all it takes is someone from somewhere else to be like, yeah, this is bang average, and then we all just ditch it, which is like, I think. But I think that's the thing, just trying to raise the bar to that level that it would appeal to people, not necessarily going, we're going to ignore all of you Northampton people to appeal to another crowd, but having it be like, it should hold up, which is what everyone wants anyway. And with the goal to do it, like, you still host the film festival here, like our studio is still here, but not have it just be for, okay, well, we've appeased everyone in Northampton, cool, that's job done. It should be able to appease people from everyone else, but be like, well, we're keeping it for ourselves.
The best, I do go on that with a sense of the universe, and we should be running events and things that people are like, that's the best. and I think we should strive to that.
Which is hopeful. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any words of wisdom or people
words of wisdom? I feel like the older I get, and I talk to a lot of young people now, like they're so young, and I think like, oh gosh, I've been through like so many things in terms of like, wanting to, make a feature film by, you go, oh, I want to make a feature film by the time I'm 25. Now I'm just like, oh, do stuff that makes you happy. Just do stuff that makes you happy. Like, just find joy and do, and that's why I'm really passionate about talking about the creative industries with young people and whatever else, because it's like, hopefully your life is really long. Like, you know, and if you think, particularly, you know, young people, if you think school is long, like hopefully your life is like, it's like 4 times as long as that. Like, so you need to do something that you want to do. And that actually might not be creative industry is fine, whatever. But I think using some creativity to explore things is going to help you find what you want to do. Be curious, enjoy it. Yeah. And you know, stolen. But if, you know, what's the one? You know, the race is long, but in the end, it's only with yourself. Like, I feel like it's like it's like the Baz Luhrmann song of the little book that I've forgotten what it's called, but where they give all the advice and they go, you'll never, you know, you can't give the young people the advice that you now, as not a young person, I know, because you wouldn't listen then. But when they get to my age, they'll be trying to give it to the next generation. You know, you've got to just go with what you want to go with. Like, they won't listen, and that's fine, because you shouldn't, because I'm old. Like, just do what you want to do, because that is actually, like, if you can do what you want to do, that is surely the greatest gift, isn't it?
Yeah, which is what everyone wants to do, what they want to do. So do what you want to do.
Yeah. And if it's something you want to do, and it might be in the creative place, come and talk to us. However, like, actually, the more weird, the better, to be honed.
You're
like,
opening up a can of worms.
Well,
here.
I mean, we're publicly viewable, so, you know, there's a level. But yeah, no, but I'd really like to do one of those things where people have those weird ideas that are like, I think this is genius, or it's awful. I'm not really sure. I think they're my favourite. And like, yeah, that we should be a place where you can come and try those things out. Or come and say what you'd like to do, and then we go, no, we can't do that. But how about somewhere else?
That's, I mean, awesome. Wicked. I think that's a good place to end that.
Cool.
Cool.
Thanks. Is that...